Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us today for our Marketing on a Shoestring Budget webinar. I'd like to start off with a bit of housekeeping. If you've got any questions during the session, please put them in the chat box. We'll take questions at the end of the session so that it doesn't stop the flow, as it were, but I'll make a note of them and we can come back to those at any point. The session's being recorded, so if you do put a question in the chat box, you're saying that you're happy for us to discuss the topic and that content to be shared in the future. Moving on to the introductions now, and for those of you who do not know me, I'm Tim Andow, Director Principal here at Andow Ellis Chartered Certified Accountants. I'm very pleased to be able to introduce you to Vicki Banthorpe of Momentum for Professionals, who will share with us her strategies and tips for marketing on a shoestring budget. Vicki, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Tim, for that introduction. Thanks for you inviting me to do this presentation today. Hello to everybody else. I'm just going to spend the next 20-25 minutes just giving you just some tips and ideas that I have come across in my marketing career, which has just helped that marketing budget go a bit further. So a little bit about me. I've been involved with marketing for over 25 years. I spent a lot of the time actually working with accountancy firms, and hence why I know Tim, but I've also got experience of working with further higher education, professional services firms, and so on. I started Momentum in 2015, and so now I provide sort of strategic marketing services, but also sort of practical marketing help for businesses, which might include copywriting for brochures, your website, putting together a plan to give you some direction. Basically, whatever it takes to make your marketing happen is where I'm about. So I live in Cornwall, and when I'm not doing marketing, I've got horses and dogs that keep me out of mischief, and also a husband. So enough about me. Today, I want to focus on two key things, really, which I think can really help to make your marketing budget go a bit further. The first area we'll touch on is looking at your marketing strategy. You know, what is it you're trying to achieve, and what's going to be the best ways of doing that. And then the latter part of the presentation, I just want to give you some tips that will actually, and ideas that I've tried and tested methods, if you like, of what I've seen work in practice for all different business sectors. And that might include sort of ways that you can actually, develop rapport with, potential clients and customers, how you can re-engage with existing customers. And I think some of the activities you'll see probably won't be a shock. There's no new things in marketing as such, but I think there'll be a good reminder of things that maybe you have done in the past that you think, yeah, actually, we maybe just, could try that again. Or things that have always been on your to-do list, but you just never got around to doing them. So hopefully today we'll just give you that, maybe that kick up the backside to start making it happen for your business. So first thing I want to go through is your marketing strategy. Now, I think a lot of businesses find that their marketing is not effective because they haven't really thought about what it is they're trying to achieve, who they're talking to. And we've all got a finite amount of time and resource and money that we can put into marketing. So the best way out to really make your marketing budget work harder for you is to look at that strategy. So first of all, look at your marketing objectives. Now, this will change each year, regardless of what business you're in. It might be that you're looking to, the aim is to launch a new business or perhaps a new product or service within your business. It might be that you want to actually get into a different market and how you're actually going to sort of transition your existing business into those new sort of areas. It might be just something fundamental like we want to launch a new website by the end of September, or we're looking to rebrand. Whatever it is, document it down, because you need to understand what are we trying to achieve. Otherwise, we get to the end of the year and you think, well, what have I done? Has the marketing been effective? So actually documenting it does actually play a big part in sort of the first part of making your marketing more effective. The second thing, and for me, this is the most crucial part of your marketing, is really consider who your target audience is. And I think by target audience, I'm thinking more of it's actually identify who your perfect customer, your perfect client is. Because all too often when I'm working with businesses and I say, okay, who's your target audience? The often response is, well, we'll work with anybody. Well, in actual fact, you might do, but you haven't got the marketing budget to, be marketing to everybody. So being really sort of focused on who you really want to have as your perfect client, your perfect customer, does make a big difference to the marketing activities you then implement, and obviously the costs involved and so on. So if you're working with individuals, think about, is it all about where they're based? Do they need to be sort of based close to where you live? What's their sort of demographic profile? What do we need to, really sort of understand who your existing clients are, and do you want to replicate more of those, going forward? Likewise, if it's a business that you're looking to target, look at what sector they're in. Is it where they're based? Is it how big the business is? How many employees they've got? We need to develop these profiles, because once we've got that, we can then really sort of focus in our marketing on targeting those particular groups, rather than trying to have a scattergun effect and trying to be all things to all men or women. The next thing that's important with your strategy is your messaging. What are the key things that you've got to communicate to people out there? How can we make them aware of that you exist, but also what your products and services are? And so think about what your USPs are. Is it something that your product or service, helps people save money, saves time? Is it a health and safety thing that they need to be aware of that could save lives? What is it that we need to get across? Why is your product or service different to other people's out there? Why should people come and talk to you? And those messages should be relayed across every marketing activity that you do, whether it's on your website or in letters or adverts, events that you attend. Those messages that really want to get under the skin of your target audience will really make a difference to sort of how that, your marketing effectiveness goes, and obviously how much budget you need to spend. In terms of budget, oops, sorry about that. Sorry, everybody, technical fault. In terms of your budget, it's vital that you look at it in terms of an investment in marketing. So, a lot of people think of marketing as a cost, and we spent this and we got nothing back from it. I think when you look at budget as part of your strategy, if you've got that sort of committed in terms of what are we trying to achieve, who are we targeting, what activities are we doing, it's much more easy to actually say, well, this is what we've done, this is what we've got out of it, this is how much we spent. Do we replicate that? Do we need to tweak it, and so on? And in terms of budget, it's very difficult to sort of say how much you should be spending, because it very much depends on each business, the sector you're in, and where you're at with your marketing journey. Are you about to launch a product, or are you sort of more doing it for maintenance? But I would set a budget for your business on a quarterly basis, and then perhaps on an annual basis, and then monitor sort of what you're spending your money on. And that sort of fits into the last point on the slide, which is about the marketing action plan. And now, typically, before COVID, I would be doing marketing action plans for the sort of the next 12 to 18 months. But I think, as we've all seen, regardless of what sector that you're in, it's very difficult to know what's happening next week or the week after. So I now focus on the next 6 months to give us a broad brush of different activities that we need to be heading towards. I use an Excel spreadsheet. I document everything in that Excel spreadsheet to say, right, okay, who's my target audience? And I have a range of activities that will sort of go across in terms of, like, each week or each month, there is something happening that will help me to get my messages out to my target audience. And what I find works most effectively is actually having a range of different marketing activities, so that you're not just relying on your website or emails or adverts in perhaps a local magazine. You need to have an integrated approach to your marketing, because people come at you from different angles. Not everybody will be reading that magazine. Not everybody will be looking on the internet for you. So having a mix of different activities does actually help your marketing to become more effective. So that's sort of the first part of the presentation, just in terms of, if you get your sort of the groundworks right in terms of your strategy, the actual activities you do going forward will make a big difference, because you will be more effective, and you'll find that you won't need to spend as much money, because you'll be just very focused in who you want to be speaking to. So I just want to spend now some time going through sort of just different activities, sort of tried and tested methods. Some of these shouldn't be a shock, but I think it just doesn't hurt to remind people, and actually how you can be more effective at what we do here. So the first thing we can do in terms of marketing on a shoestring, making that budget go further, is referrals, word of mouth. I think regardless of what business sector you're in, this is always the most effective form of marketing. It's usually free, unless you're going to be actually sort of giving people thank you gifts for referring work to you. But the main problem where this falls down is that we as business owners, as marketing people, we're not proactive in actually asking people for that work. I think we assume, well, they know that we do that, so if they're happy to recommend us, they would. In reality, people are happy to recommend you if if you think you're doing a good service or you've got some good products. But they sometimes need reminding, and I think that's just the underlying sort of trend in any marketing activity. We have to keep reminding people that we're here and this is what we do. So just think about your own sort of client base and customers. How often are you actually saying to them, if you know anybody else that would benefit from what we do or would like what we do, please let us know. And I think in terms of who to ask, obviously existing customers and clients is the first point of call that we immediately think of. But we need to be more proactive. We need to think wider. So think about your existing business contacts, perhaps your suppliers, people that you wouldn't automatically assume, would think, but they're supplying you with products and services. They may actually know other people that would benefit from, the end result. Likewise, don't forget your family, your friends, even your staff. Reminding these people, reminding them, a few times during the year that this is who we are, this is what we do. We're looking to get more work coming in. Just as acts as the prompt. Marketing is all about being in the right place at the right time. So, if they happen to be down at the pub and someone says, "Oh, do you know somebody? I've got a bit of a legal issue coming up. Who would you recommend?" If you've recently had a conversation with them, and you're, in a legal firm, you're a solicitor, then they're more likely to sort of think, "Oh, actually, yeah, I've just been talking to so-and-so, give them a call." They could be able to ask. So just be more proactive in terms of asking for for referrals rather than just relying on them just coming in willy-nilly. You're likely to get much more sort of inquiries coming through. The second thing, which I think again is often sort of is forgotten about, is actually how proactive are we at asking for more repeat business, at cross-selling our products to sort of other to existing clients, but selling them different products, upselling them. It's a lot cheaper to sell existing customers, to more products and services than it is to be constantly trying to bring in new sales and new clients. So think about sort of what we can do to keep engaging with our existing customers, to keep them coming back for more. So some examples there on the screen. Loyalty schemes, a very sort of simple but very effective way of doing things. For example, I live near Tavistock, which is in Devon. They've got a lovely little shop in Tavistock, opened 2 or 3 years ago, called Flapjackery. It does what it says in the tin. They sell flapjacks and all sorts of different recipes. Absolutely lovely. But they have a loyalty scheme, and you go buy a slab of flapjack. They're literally sort of big slabs, and every one you buy, you have like a little point card. They mark that off. When you bought 10, you get one free. And it's surprising just how, in this day and age, something so simple gets people going back into the shop. Particularly now with COVID restrictions, they're eased. We can go back into towns. We can go into shops. They found that has been a really sort of regular. People are going back in. They're making a point of going back into the high streets, and they've benefited from that little loyalty scheme. So could that be something that could be tweaked and work for your business? In a similar vein, if you've got your point of sale material, so if you've got premises where people come to, whether it's a shop, a restaurant, or offices, around where your tills are, around where your reception area is, if you have a product or service which people can either order online, and be delivered to them, or you can arrange collection. Again, COVID has prompted us to realise, if we have got a business which we can, people can still access, even if they can't come to the physical premises. Anything you can do to remind people that you can still access us if we do go into another lockdown, which in the coming months could be quite likely. How can you make it so that people can still get to your product or service? Don't rely on them hunting you down. Make it easy for people to say, actually, I didn't realise you were online. Great, I can take that leaflet or that card away. I can put that somewhere safe should I need it in the future and I can't get to the premises. Another thing which I think we've all experienced in terms of online shopping, and I suppose this is like an Amazon type thing, is, you know, people who bought this also bought X. It comes down to the sales psychology. You know, we've got to attract audience. You've got somebody who's on your website, they've got their credit card in hand, they're in the mind frame that they're buying stuff. It might just be one particular item they've come online to buy. But by actually sort of putting other products and services in front of them just to tempt them, you know, it's a tried and tested method of actually getting people to, well, actually, while I'm here, I'll get that as well. As I say, the likes of Amazon, you know, people like that, they swear by this, any of the big retailers. So is that something that you can bring on board, you know, for your business? Would it work for you? But the key to any of this, whether it's repeating sales, you know, liaising with our existing client base, is regular communication. So don't just rely on them. Those people come to buy from you once, and then if they want more, they'll come back to you. You know, think about what else you can do to stay in touch with them. What is it that you can do, whether it's through social media and keeping connected that way? Is it having newsletters? Is it organising events that they may want to sort of participate in? You know, it's all about that lifetime value of that client. So don't look at each individual purchase or sale or service as a one-off. How else could you actually sort of help that person? How could they buy some more stuff from you, you know, in the future? Next area is social media, and this is, I appreciate it can be a little bit Marmite, but I think we've actually sort of seen in the last 18 months because of COVID, a lot of businesses who've actually been able to get involved with social media more, still keep engaging with their clients and customers through social media, have you know made a difference to their businesses. Social media is free. Obviously, there are paid for adverts and boosts that you can do, but you can do an awful lot with free social media posting. But the trick to it, you've got to commit. You've got to be posting regularly. You've got to be engaging with others. It's not just about broadcasting lots of messages out. It's about, you know, having that two-way conversation with people. So look at sort of getting involved with local groups, local town groups, village groups, practice on a regional basis. Maybe it's sort of trade groups, you know, if you're in particular sectors, you know, look at those forums. It's all about getting your name out there, but engaging with others. It's not just about having a Facebook or an Instagram profile and getting lots of followers. You want them sort of getting, you know, your name out to their, you know, contacts and connections as well. A little example of sort of how I found this work in practice. November, December time each year, my husband and I, we sell Christmas trees. We buy them in from a wholesaler and we sell them out from a local tea shop just near us, tea room. And we've been going 3 years, and we've got a lot of business in from a big sign at sort of the bottom of the road where the trees are. But actually, Facebook for us has had, you know, terrific success for us. But what you need to be mindful of with these type of things is, for example, with us, we didn't just post at the start of, also the end of November, December time. Here we are, Christmas trees available. These are the prices. These are our opening times. Come and see us, and then think, oh, tick box. We've done social media. You know, I will post 3 or 4 times a week, reminding people of where we're at, saying we've got some new stock come in. Here's some photos of the different, you know, types of trees that we've got. Here's some, you know, photos and reviews from customers who bought trees. And every time I posted on Facebook, the following day and the 2-3 days afterwards, we would get people coming onto our stand. And when we'd say, "How did you hear about us?" they'd say, "Because we saw the local Facebook, Facebook pages." So I didn't just put it on our Facebook page. I was posting in local sort of town and village groups to say, this is who we are, this is where we're at, you know, do come and take a look and buy your Christmas trees. And it worked. You know, we got out to thousands of people in our local area just by engaging in those local groups, rather than just actually focusing on our own Facebook page, and that's all we did. So social media works, but you've got to put the time and effort into it and actually getting your name into as, you know, relevant groups as possible. And the trick to it is just prompting people to share your page. The more people connect with you, the more likely you are to get people sort of, you know, coming and buying from you. So, you know, use things like competitions, you know, whether that's, you know, people enter a competition if they like and share your page, and they may win a product or service that you have, or it might be a hamper or theatre tickets, whatever it may be. But those little things do work, and a good way of actually sort of, getting your name out to as wide a group as possible. Next thing, again, could be a little obvious, but it's your website. And I've sort of put this up here as a way of making your budget go further, because I think quite often we launch a website and then we sort of think, right, tick box, we've done that. You've got to keep that website up to date. There's also a bit of a school of thought at the moment with websites and social media. Do you need both? Now, again, it will come down to what your business is, what products and services that you offer. It may well be that you don't need to have both. For example, with the Christmas trees, we initially had a couple of pages up on a website with an inquiry form, all our social media, people could contact us direct through there. But actually, after doing it for 3 years, we realised that we were getting very little traffic to the website. It was all coming through social media. So as a consequence, we're going to turn off the website. We're just going to focus on the social media pages. So it gives us, one less thing to have to update and keep updated as we go through the season. So we focus all our time on social media. So think about with your business, is that something that you should consider? Whatever you do, I think it's important that you realise that you need to have some form of online presence. The main part of this is obviously with driving sales, but right at the start of the presentation, I said, one of the key things we need to do more of is get word of mouth referrals through. And in this day and age, if somebody says to us, okay, if you wanted a really great accountant, I suggest you go talk to Tim Andow. Great. But the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to check him out. I'm going to see what's on his website. I'm going to see what's on his social media profiles. So having that online presence is important, and keeping it up to date is important as well, because it just creates that first image so that somebody's referred us, but let's just do our own little bit of research to see if what, they're waxing lyrical about Tim, is everything that we've seen on his website, does it match that? Yes, it does. Okay, let's pick up the phone, let's make a phone call, let's have a chat. So think about the content you've got on your website. Some of you may only want to have like a brochure site, that's fine, but still make sure that that sort of content is kept up to date. And if you've got new products and services, make sure that they're added on there. If nothing else, just have a news section that people can still keep engaging with you. Put in their case studies, testimonials from existing clients. Anything you can do to keep that content refreshed on a regular basis not only sort of helps people to keep coming back and take a look, but it helps with your Google rankings. And likewise, if you've got an online shop, anything, keeping that up to date with relevant offers, new products and service lines, it's all important. It all helps Google to sort of keep on top of that. And that's another important point. Do take on board your search engine optimization. What are the keywords and phrases that people will use to find you in the first place? So, think about those keywords and phrases. Those words need to be sort of in your main headings on your website. They need to be on your landing pages so that people, if they put in, again, I'm going to pick on Tim here, accounts and tax, if they put that in and they're looking in sort of around the Westbury area, that Tim's going to come pretty high up in Google because you've got a landing page, that takes you directly to that. So think about sort of the wording you've got on your website. Update the content regularly, because that's important for keeping that sort of site fresh and up to date. And in terms of the design, I think this day and age, you need to be looking at sort of updating refreshing your website design every 3 or 4 years. Now, if you're updating your content regularly, you don't need to redo that at the same time. You're just basically going for a sort of a bit of a brand refresh, image update. Websites become dated very quickly these days. So I think 3 years, 4 years at the max, depending again on what sector you're in, you need to be sort of looking to sort of, update that so that, you're taking part in it. People can see that, yeah, these people care about their business. I want to be part of what they're doing. So, and finally, I think don't underestimate the power of old school marketing activities. It's quite easy to think everything's got to be digital these days. If we haven't got that digital presence, it doesn't work. And actually, I've found recently some good examples of simple things that we've probably all been aware of in the past that actually have worked. So I've got 2 or 3 of my clients who have got their offices in sort of, in local towns on a fairly sort of busy street. They found using a little A-frame type board has been really effective at actually bringing people in. And I think that the premise behind that is, again, looking at the sales psychology, as we're walking down the road, we're walking past lots of shops and offices, and they've got posters and the like in their windows, but it's all in our peripheral vision. But actually, if you're walking down and you suddenly come across an A-frame, providing it's not going to trip people and cause an accident, but actually we connect with it because it's in our sort of, in our direct view. So you can't stop, it can't help but stop and read what's on there. And so that might be, pop inside for free advice, or we've got a special offer on coffees. It might be an event that you're organising, but it could be something that actually just, makes it relevant to people. I know one of my clients has had huge success actually for promoting their pension offering, through an A-frame board. And actually people say, gosh, yeah, I've been meaning to do that. It's right under my nose. I'm going to go in there and start having a conversation. Another example I've heard recently, this was an accountancy firm, not Tim, I hasten to add, but they actually, every year, as Tim will testify, accountants will send out tax return information or request for tax return information to all their clients. And the aim is, normally gets sent out April, May, the start of the new tax year, with the view that people can bring all their sort of information in or email it or put it through the cloud accounting as we do now, so that we're not leaving it until January the following year when we have to pay by. And I know it's a constant battle to get people to bring that stuff in. This one particular client was sending out their annual requests for information, but this year they put on the back of the envelope a little sticker. And it was just something sort of, a bit of a throwaway statement, get all your tax return information to us now and then enjoy the rest of the summer stress-free. So a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but they found that actually that had a significant difference in terms of the volume of not inquiries, but the volume of information they were getting back from their clients that normally they wouldn't get for several months down the line. But just that little visual reminder on the back of the envelope, worked wonders. And it's a great way, if you've got a special offer on your products and services, if you've got an event that you're organising, just something very simple. Mailings and post is becoming more popular. I certainly see it through my post, the amount of sort of information I'm getting, different special offers and stuff. The online space and emails has almost become a little bit too sort of busy. It's very difficult to stand out. So, do think of things that you can send through the post that actually could sort of help get your clients or help get your business and your products in front of people. Another thing just to consider, networking events. Obviously, in recent months, a lot of these have been virtual, but we are now starting to see a lot of these becoming face-to-face again, obviously with social distancing measures in place. But that's a great way to get out there and reconnect with people in your target audience or in your trade sectors. Just let them know, you're still there, you're still in business, this is what we're doing. It's a great way to actually just update people on what it is you're offering, how you've been helping people, sharing more stories as we've all sort of had over the last sort of 12, 18 months. So don't dismiss networking events. They're still a great way of actually sort of getting involved with people, virtual and face-to-face. But I think face-to-face makes it more of a personal situation. And ultimately, people buy from people. So reconnecting with those people in any events we can, it's got to be a good thing. And the last thing I would look at is actually what are other businesses doing? There's no, as I say, there's no new things in marketing. So actually look at what sort of comes through your post. What are your competitors doing? Is there anything that you can pick up? It might be from a totally different sector, but was it quite sort of a good idea? You think, actually, I could repurpose that and that would work quite well for my business. So don't just look at things that happen in your sector. Think wider than that. What else are other people doing? Is there some good ideas that we can glean out there, which would be useful for our business? So that's a quick canter through sort of lots of marketing ideas, and I appreciate it's not all new stuff, but it doesn't have to be. Sometimes we just need to sort of reconnect with what actually does work and work well. But those are just some good tips and ideas just to have for free marketing or very low cost marketing. It just requires a little bit of time and effort just to put them in place and make the marketing happen. So, any questions?
Thank you for that, Vicki. We have got a question actually. Mm-hmm. So in terms of your marketing budget, how much should a business allocate towards that?
Very good question, Tim, and asked it an awful lot as well. Interesting, the Chartered Institute of Marketing, they suggest that a business should be applying 15% of its turnover to marketing activities, which I think is fine if you're Coca-Cola or McDonald's or any global brand that is constantly sponsoring and advertising, every minute of every day. In the real world, when I've been working with businesses and all different types of businesses, it kind of depends where you're at in your sort of, your business's life cycle. So if you're just starting out, obviously you're not going to have any turnover, so it's going to require your own personal investment to get things up and running. But as a general rule of thumb, if you're looking to launch something or looking to launch a new product or service, or you think there's going to be a lot of activity, i.e. you're going to have a brand new website this year, I think you'd be spending around about sort of 8 to 10% of your turnover just in that 1 year. Because if you've got to do lots of marketing because you are launching something new, you need to you don't want to starve it. So you need to have a big injection of cash to get that up and running. But generally speaking, if it's more what I would call maintenance marketing, so we want to make sure we've got a drip feed effect, so there's just a constant little drip of things happening throughout the year, you might be looking at 2% of your turnover, just to sort of make sure that you've got that presence. And again, that might sort of then go up to 5 or 6% of your turnover if you think, actually, we just want to try and have a bit of a push to get some more customers or clients in, so we need to do more activities. So the budget is a bit of how long is a piece of string, but you kind of flex it in terms of what are your marketing objectives. So think of your strategy. This year is going to be a big year because we've got lots of things that we need to achieve. So your budget needs to reflect that. Whereas the following year, you'd hopefully have sort of, the benefit of that sort of investment. You can sort of ease it back a bit, but you don't want to ease it back too much. You've got to have it sort of, you need to have that presence there continually. So what can you do to sort of make that budget go further? Looking at some of the sort of tips and ideas I've given you in the presentation. So.
Okay, and if you've got to give if you've got to have a marketing spend, from what you've said, it sounds like you can't just pick one activity to do and nothing else. It sounds like you've got to have a range of things that you do to get the full effect for them.
Yeah, I definitely. I think I've seen this happen time and time again. I think that there used to be the old adage that people they need to have 7 touch points with you or your business before they'll actually sort of get in touch. And I think so if you just put all your eggs in one basket and you've just got the website, what else are you doing to drive people to that website? So anything that you can do, and it could be simple things from, email signatures. You can have special offers and promotions on your email signature, which would drive people to your website. But I think anything where I've seen the marketing is more effective, it's where we build upon things. So, for example, if I was going to organise a seminar, so today's marketing seminar, for example, so if I was going to do that, I'd have it mentioned on the website. I may email out to my clients and my contact base to say we're doing this seminar, and they would be linked to the website to be able to promote that, to be able to book a place in the webinar. I'd also post it on social media. If I was talking to my clients, I'd certainly mention it in passing. I may also look to do, depending on what the topic was, if it had more of a sort of a wider appeal, I might put adverts in, say, the local paper, if I thought that would be my target audience who would benefit from it. But those adverts would also link people back to the website to make that booking. You mentioned social media, you might want to do a specific mailing with a leaflet to actually promote something to people. Again, it takes it all back to the website. So by having those lots of different activities, people sort of hear about you in different formats. It's not all relying on, I've got to pick up the phone and speak to people, because actually I've just read something about that in the local paper, or I saw something on social media about it in a totally unrelated post or thing. So it all goes into the back of our sort of psychology in terms of, I just keep hearing this, momentum for professionals. So that we're warming people up, so that when we're doing more targeting marketing, they're more likely to get, I keep coming across these guys. We've kind of warmed them up as to who we are. It just makes it much more effective as well.
Okay. I haven't got any other questions popped up. So we'll just give it another couple of seconds in case someone else thinks of a burning question they've answered before we end it for today.
In stunned silence.
It's because they're taking it all in. Okay, that's fine. We've had nothing else, so we'll end it there for today. Vicki, thank you very much for that. That was really interesting. Appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for everyone that joined us today, and we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.